Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Last night in my prayer closet, after reading what I'm about to read to you, I was confessing to the Lord. I said, I have to say, Lord, that this is putting fear, and I didn't even get the word out. And all of a sudden, this big yawn came to me. I mean, like a big one. And man, I felt like the Lord just rebuked me something terrible. And I think if you don't listen, he's about to rebuke you too. And what he was saying is, do not have fear. Do not have fear. You remember August 8th, 2015, I heard the Lord say, this is the time of miracles. And he said, as the judgment hits, and I believe it has already hit, it's about to get harder. As the judgment hits, so are my miracles. You tell my people that I will never leave them nor forsake them. Yes, as these things hit, I'm going to meet the devil inch by inch, pound for pound, step for step, everything he does, I'm going to meet him. And we have to remember that for us, especially in light of what I'm about to read to you. I've got lots to read, so I'm going to move quick. Hang on. February 26, 2020. This comes to us from Byron Surley, or Searle, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's called Vision of Empty Store Shelves. This is my summarized version for time's sake. In this vision, the radio show host became very serious in his tone and stated that it was being reported several large cities were in lockdown because of the COVID-19 virus. It was now rampant and mutating. People were being ordered to stay inside of their homes or apartments. I saw what looked like a riot taking place. Parking lots jammed, packed with vehicles, car doors left open, people all over wildly running. I watched people running as fast as they could in almost every direction, screaming and shouting hysterically. I was observing complete and utter chaos and hysteria. Not one person was calm. All were running about, yelling, screaming, and crying. Now remember, don't give fear. I asked, what is going on? The local National Guard were planning martial law order, advising everyone they have to stay in their homes. He told me that nearly all of the store shelves were empty of food, water, and other goods. He said that the people in the stores were acting like crazed, rabid animals, throwing cans of food at each other and stealing each other's carts. I went in, and it was a complete chaos, wild fighting. People at the checkout lines were yelling and screaming. The cashiers, because of the debit cards, were not working in the machines and they had no cash. People began to bypass the registers and just run out of the stores without paying for the food in their carts. I saw people attacking people who were running out with the food. Waiting mobs of people outside grabbed and beat the people who were leaving the store with food, taking all of the food, leaving the people injured lying on the ground. Shelves emptied in minutes, like a pack of ravenous wolves, frenzied sharks fighting over food. It was unbelievable to watch this place. Everything in the store was totally destroyed. The doors were pulled off the refrigerators, freezer sections and broken down, thrown all over the floor, shelving units pushed over, knocked down, broken up. There was food left all over everywhere. Everything was totally gone, completely wiped out. People had begun running back. Don't get fear. People began running back to the stock room in search of more food as the store had now been cleared out. They began tearing all of these boxes and pallets apart, looking for food. Many of the boxes contained paper products and cleaning supplies, but all was thrown aside since the people were in a mad frenzy looking for any boxes containing food. I saw them find and take pet food because it was food. They acted like they hit the jackpot when they found dog food. I saw some people from local churches, terrified looks on their faces, crying because they were too late and there was nothing left. I asked, why didn't you prepare for this? After all, many watchmen have been warning for years this was coming. I thought we would be gone, raptured out before anything happened. I should have listened. People were fighting over what little remained. We began to hear gunshots, bullets flying everywhere, many people being hit. No one came to their aid. They were left on the floor, bleeding, injured, dying. Other people were taking food items from the people who had been shot. They were running out of the stores. The clerks had all run away for fear of their lives. People were taking anything that was not tied down that they could carry out. Walmart was a war zone with gun battles in the store and parking lot. Many people were dead or dying. I saw people run into TJ Maxx, the dollar store, other small food sections. People ran into the movie theater and were fighting over popcorn and candy. It seemed as if in 1 hour, everything had gone from normal to complete and utter chaos and insanity. I saw National Guard vehicles arriving. They quickly swooped in and shot anyone and everyone holding a weapon. The clampdown had begun. and no one would be allowed on the street. Everyone must stay inside or be shot. As the vision ended, I heard the Lord say, "Why have you not prepared?" Now let's jump to 7:10 of 2020, also Byron Surley. And he said, "The Lord spoke the words 7 weeks. I asked, 7 weeks? He repeated, 7 weeks. As I gave Joseph 7 years to stock up, I will give you 7 weeks. The vision I gave you of fights in the grocery store will take place after 7 weeks." Now, this is a very unusual thing, and this is something that's just happened here over the last couple of months. 27 years on the radio, and I've never seen so many dreams and visions, so many warnings coming into me from all kinds of people out there. This is a very unusual one. I think that God is beginning to speak in these last days because this is about to hit. April 18, 2020, this is just a housewife. As she was telling about this unusual dream she had, she was stroking her cat. She didn't understand what she was saying. God showed her something she didn't understand. I think you will. Her name is Tina Golick. She says, "In this dream, we were in quarantine, but it was much tighter restrictions than it is now. There was literally nobody outside of their homes at all. People were designated times where they could go to grocery shopping or somewhere, but no one was going to work. No one was on the streets. My husband and I decided to go down the street and check on someone. We were literally the only vehicle on the road. We could hear planes and helicopters overhead. The government was doing aerial checks, keeping track of people. They sectioned off areas in the communities. Periodically, the army or police groups of men would come and take everybody in the area off somewhere. They just rounded them up. My husband and I stopped to check on this person, and nobody was there. It was like they had just been there. It was like their food was still cooking on the stove, plates of food on the table still hot with steam coming off of them, but no one was there. There was army of police rounding everybody up. They were trying to tell us to get into this vehicle. We were trying to tell them that we were not from this section. We lived down the river, but we just came up to check on this person. They said, "Doesn't matter. You're in this section. When everybody was taken from this section, you go too." It was crazy. It was scary. She says, "I live in Washington State. People were crying. They were being loaded into vans, but bigger vans, and more people were crying. They were being yelled at by the police and the army or whoever these people were. They were all dressed in green like the army. They were being forced into these vans. They weren't being nice about it. They weren't trying to help anybody understand where they were being taken. They weren't explaining anything. They were yelling at them, shouting orders at them. The people being loaded up were allowed to take a box or a bag of their belongings. One of the army people stepped on somebody's bag, and it got everything muddy because of his boots being muddy. He kind of laughed out as if he had no regard for the people or their belongings. We were loaded up and taken, knowing not where we were going. My husband and I were being separated too. It was very scary. I was telling myself, you're going to be okay. This is your government. They're going to take care of you. They're doing what is best for us. But inside, I knew that wasn't true. I had a feeling that it was something really bad, something really bad, and I was scared. Now, today, squirrel in Colorado tests positive for the bubonic plague. This comes to us, CBS News, date July 15. A squirrel has tested positive for the bubonic plague in the town of Morrison, Colorado, Jefferson County public health officials announced in a statement over the weekend. The squirrel discovered on Saturday is the first case of plague in Jefferson County, the statement said. The spokesperson for Jefferson County Public Health told CBS News on Tuesday that someone in Morris County reported seeing at least 15 dead squirrels around the town. Officials tested one, and since it was positive for bubonic plague, they expect others are also infected. In a statement, officials warned the plague, an infectious disease caused by the bacteria, I can't say the name, can be contracted by humans and household animals. They said humans can be infected through flea bites, the cough of an infected animal, or coming in direct contact with blood or tissue of an infected animal. I'm saying, brothers and sisters, this is in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, and unfortunately, we've had more than this saying this. So, what do? I'm going to say you need to ask yourself, what are you going to do if you have to stay in your house and you cannot leave your house for a year? Do you have water? Do you have a Berkey water filter? Yes, you can get that at prophecyclub.com. Do you have food stored up And we're talking about we can't count on what's in our freezer or refrigerator, because probably one of the first things going to go is electricity. So that means you need to have long-term storage food not requiring electricity to prepare or to keep. And you get that at heavensharvest.com, code name Stan. Yes, Heaven's Harvest just got, I think it was like a $90,000 big order. Okay, they just got freeze-dried food in. It's at heavensharvest.com, and the code is Stan. And again, let me remind you that the Lord told me, do not fear, because letting fear in is kind of like not having enough faith that He's going to take care of us. He is going to take care of us, but just like the Lord told Leslie, you need to tell people to do everything they possibly can do on their own to prepare. But no one can prepare for every eventuality. But what we can prepare for, we should prepare. So I'd recommend you have water, a water filter, some food, potassium iodate pills. Do those things that you hear. Here's another thing. We don't offer it, but I think you ought to have some kind of a light. We had our electricity go off here, and it happened when we had a house full of people. Well, I thought that my little work lights would be good enough in that situation. I quickly learned that they only go for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then they went out. So I found some long-term emergency lights. I don't know, maybe we should tell you what they are, but anyway, it takes like 4D batteries, and it goes for 30 days on 4D batteries. And I actually tested it, and I couldn't run the batteries. So I was saying you need to be thinking through these things. You ought to have a bug-out bag. All right, now let me get on to the next thing. October 12, 2006, I've told this many times, I saw a dream of two people getting on board a commercial jet, and I heard a voice say, 2 people will get on the jet with a virus. Before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. And I said, what? And the voice rebuked me. It said, I told you, you weren't listening. 2 people will get on a plane with a virus. And before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. Now, actually, that was probably good that I said, what? Because then the voice repeated it, meaning I believe we can count that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses because it repeated it. So that's not something I just didn't hear. I really heard that. Then we go to March 22, 2020. Leslie had a dream. She said Stan and I were in our car heading home. We took an exit off the highway that curved around. Now, you have to understand, Leslie doesn't have foolishness dreams. When she has a dream and she says, it's of God, you can count on it, it's of God. And this is one of those dreams. We took an exit off of the highway that curved around. The type of curve you don't slow down on, you continue going. I believe that this is talking about the U.S. economy was roaring strong. After taking the exit, we came to a stop. Well, of course, the economy came to a stop after coronavirus. There were cars everywhere and a semi-truck to our left. On the right side of us was a gas station, something like a racetrack, a large gas station. People were getting out of their cars, so we did also. A policeman was in the middle of the mess trying to direct everyone, yelling, move the cart, move the cart. Leslie says, I went to move the grocery cart out of the way, but the policeman yelled, no, not the cart, move the cars. Stan was going back to my car to get my handgun because chaos was breaking out. Okay, that should be a hint letting us know, kind of like Pastor Massey was told, that if we're going to be safe in the days ahead, we are going to have to be providing our safety. So it's saying that the public will have to resort to its own protection. The policeman was drawing his gun, meaning that the police are going to have to use some type of weapons to control the public. There was a drone. Now, several people have seen drones overhead in these recent prophecies, these recent dreams and visions people are all of a sudden over the last couple of months having. Almost every time there's some kind of a drone above them. There was a drone above us following the crowd, meaning authorities are going to use drones to monitor the people. I began looking for a place to hide. I felt as if the drone was going to shoot something into the crowd. So probably it's saying authorities are going to resort to new tactics for chaos control. I didn't feel safe to run into the gas station market for fear it would blow up. It wasn't safe to hide in the semi-truck. So that means that safe places are going to be hard to find. Stan and I got back in our car and we prayed, meaning The real safety, brothers and sisters, is going to be found in our prayer closet, as I have been saying for a long time. Now, Augusto Perez, 11/22/2014. In the dream, I was talking to a group of men about current events. He proceeded to explain to me that a virus is going to quickly spread in the United States until it reaches such pandemic proportions that forced vaccinations will be forced upon the population. This vaccine will contain an RFID microchip that will become part of the person receiving it. Flights leaving the country will stop, and soon martial law will be implemented. Now, do I have to remind you what I just read here just a moment ago? The headline is, Squirrel in Colorado tests positive for the bubonic plague. Now, let me just tell you, I'd love to be able to know who has been keeping the bubonic plague alive, what laboratory. I'd love to know who actually injected it into the squirrel, but you can rest assured it's the deep state. You remember that one of the deep state told Benjamin Fulford, we have ruled the world for thousands of years, and we will continue to rule it, or we will destroy it. Well, this sounds to me like they're in the process of destroying it. They know about that 176,436 sealed indictments. They know. And so this is their retaliation. This is them trying to threaten Donald Trump. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you do it, this is what we're going to do. Now let's go back to the dream given to Pastor Dana Coverstone on Monday, June 22. This is with additions from the interview with the Prophecy Club on 6/30/2020. He said, I had another dream. I saw a calendar, and the white figure appeared. I'll skip part of that. And the voice said, part two. And he said he saw this coming in September, and the finger underlined the word September, emphasizing it 3 times. Then I saw October, then November. This is when it really got intense. The finger underlined November 3 times, but instead of tapping it, it balled up a fist, hit the calendar, and the calendar exploded into the wall. Then the vision started. I saw even more intense chaos than I saw back in March. I saw armed protesters. I saw fighting in the streets, people fighting each other, businesses shuttered and closed up. I heard gunfire, constant gunfire. I saw people hiding in their homes with the lights out, with a gun in their hand, looking back to check on their families. Now, let's pause a second. We're hearing guns. We're hearing food shortages. We're hearing chaos. Brothers and sisters, we have been praying for years, I know you have, that God would show us about these things before they arrive. This is our warning. I'm telling you that, A, we do not fear. Do not get into fear. I think that is insulting God. I think that is saying, what? Do you not believe me when I told you that I'm going to protect you? Do you not believe that I can provide? Do you not believe that I can protect you? And so we're saying, yes, sir, we do believe. But we are also doing what Leslie was told, doing the very best we can to provide for our families. That's the reason. You need to ask yourself, if you cannot leave your home for, I started to say 6 months, but I'm going to say for a year. If you cannot leave your home for a year, bubonic plague is out there or something else. Who knows what it is? If you cannot leave your home for a year, do you have food, water, a water filter? Ask yourself. Electricity goes off, no gas, no outside connections. Do you have everything in your home that you need? Well, truth is probably none of us have everything. But we have to prioritize. We have to say, okay, well, here's the pile of money I have, and here's the big pile of needs I have. Now, what's most important? Obviously, I can tell you right now, the number one thing you need is a good, clean supply of water. Number one. And that may mean that you need to buy some kind of a gizmo to catch the water coming off your roof, and then you run it through a Berkey water filter. That may mean that you need to get some kind of a big storage thing out in your backyard and fill it up. I don't know. But number one thing I tell you right now you need is water and a water filter. And yes, the water filter is available through Prophecy Club. You need to get them ordered, because right now I haven't asked, but I'm sure without asking that they're behind. I mean, I'm talking about all of the people making water filters. But yes, you can place your order for a Berkey water filter. And that's another thing. Do not get a water filter that needs some kind of pressure to filter the water. No. You want to, I like Berkey. All of my water is filtered through a Berkey. You pour in the crummy, dirty, filthy water on top, and out comes clean water on the bottom. You don't need any electricity. You don't need any pressure or anything. Second thing, food. You need food. If the electricity has been off 30 days, you're still eating. If it needs to be cooked, have you asked yourself how you're going to warm it up? And yes, propane is fine for a while, but what happens when you can't get propane? So you need to ask yourself these kind of questions. And in my opinion, I don't plan to be going off into the woods or the mountains someplace. I plan to stay right in my home, but I'm going to be prepared in my home. At least that's my plan. Now, let's go back to what he was saying. I saw people hiding in their homes with the lights out, with a gun in their hand, looking back to check on their families. I saw businesses shuttered and closed up. I saw schools. See, that's exactly the same thing that the other guy said. I saw schools closed, schoolrooms with cobwebs hanging in them. No one had been in them for months. There were things like papers falling off the wall. I saw bank buildings with the roofs taken off, almost like money was being sucked out like a vacuum cleaner. I saw wealth being taken away. Politicians in the back rooms making deals with people, patting each other on the back, laughing and smirking and smiling. I saw Washington, D.C. ablaze, capitals surrounded, state houses surrounded, people screaming, making outrageous demands. I did not see any sign of President Trump in Washington, D.C. I'll skip part of it now. I saw fires everywhere. I saw people being rounded up. I saw Chinese and Russian soldiers on the ground, Russian soldiers telling the Chinese soldiers to go and pick up these people, round up those people, secure this quadrant. That's what the lady I just read. See, we've got 2 or 3 mouths that are saying the same things here, brothers and sisters. I saw blue helmets of the UN. I saw military things taking place. That's what the lady saw. I saw people hiding in their homes and garages, churches being burned. I saw homes burned, absolute chaos. I heard the words again, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. In another dream he heard, endure to the end. Now again, do not get fear. Fear is a lack of belief in God. Do not get fear. But instead, build that prayer closet. Get on your face. Get on your knees. Get into prayer, brothers and sisters. Now I'm going to jump to another part of one of his dreams. He says, I saw pulpits being chopped up with axes. I saw old wooden pulpits being chopped into pieces, plexiglass pulpits hammered to pieces, Christians in chains, publicly ridiculed, assaulted because of their ideas being old-fashioned and they needed to go. I heard a cry that I heard for 6 months, brace yourself, endure to the end. I saw people, including some of my missionary friends, pastor friends, district leaders, officials. In other words, this is now, okay, that we're on top of this. This is about to happen. They would not back down. I saw intensity in their eyes, fight in their faith. The biggest persecution we're going to face is from the church, from those people that walked away from the church, who sat in the pews. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie. To my pastor friends, I say, get with it. Do not stop preaching the hard gospel. Do not stop preaching the full word of God and the full gospel behind it. Speaking of that, I've been trying to tell people that this is going to be coming since February of 1988. That's when I first heard the message. So that's some 32 some odd years I've been trying to tell people this is coming. And now, here it is, brothers and sisters, here it is. So I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. I'm going to ask you to click like, because that tells their algorithm to send it out to other people. Then you share it with your other friends and get them to click subscribe too, because that way the algorithm will send it out to more people. Doesn't cost us anything, but more people can hear it. I'm also going to ask you to go to heavensharvest.com and use the promo code STAN. That way it helps Prophecy Club, but even more so, you need the good stuff. You need something that you're really going to be able to eat, and that is freeze-dried food. That's the best stuff. Make sure you have enough at least for 6 months. I'm going to say probably 3 months is not enough. 6 months, really you ought to be thinking about at least a year, and ideally 7 years for the whole tribulation or whatever that is. But get yourself water, get yourself food, ask yourself, what are you going to need? Prepare to stay inside for a year. Inside your house for a year. Get yourself prepared. Get some potassium iodate pills. We know that this bubonic plague, if that's what the big plague is that's about to hit, we know that's not going to be the last thing. We know suitcase nukes are coming, And if you want to live when a suitcase nuke goes off around you, you're going to need potassium iodate. It's cheap, $25 or something like that? Go to prophecyclub.com and get all that stuff ordered. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door linking the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be put in correct chronological order. You can understand Bible prophecy. 1 for 20, 5 for 30, 10 for 55. What is the most important information to every beating heart on the globe? After accept Jesus, it would be, don't take the mark of the beast. Those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but are tormented in the lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. How do you tell them? Give them miss the mark. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, 20 for 40. Over the past 32 years, I've collected the best 101 prophecies from Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruver, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Marie Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, and more. It's called God's Warnings for America. 1 for 20, 5 for 30, 10 for 55. My new book is called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel because that's what it does. It shows you the part of Daniel you need to know, being you're about to be a tribulation saint, and will desperately need to know and understand about the last days you live in. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, 20 for 40 at prophecyclub.com. prophecyclub.com. Emergency food is almost sold out everywhere. However, because of our relationship with HeavensHarvest.com, they have made an entire truckload available to Prophecy Club in a few weeks, where others are totally out or waiting for months. They have all sorts of emergency supplies and food at HeavensHarvest.com. Their food comes in square stackable buckets, breakfast, entree, protein, fruits and vegetables. HeavensHarvest.com makes it easy to order. I recommend you have at least 12 months of food for each person in your family. Receive a free box of heirloom seeds when you enter the promo code STAN. That's HeavensHarvest.com, promo code STAN. HeavensHarvest.com, promo code STAN. Each single Prophecy Club DVD is a gift of $30. In that you know the internet is going away one day, it is a good idea to actually have the disc. However, at WatchProphecyClub.com, you can have instant access to over 200 titles on a recurring monthly subscription of $20 or yearly for $200 at WatchProphecyClub.com. That's $6,000 worth of information at WatchProphecyClub.com. That's WatchProphecyClub.com. What a deal. The easiest way to listen and watch Prophecy Club YouTube videos is to download our free app from the App Store. This is not to be confused with WatchProphecyClub.com, where you can watch 26 years and over 300 DVDs for a subscription of $20 a month or $200 a year. The app allows you to watch our YouTube videos and listen to our radio programs very easily. Go check it out at your App Store. Click like, share, and subscribe. You can now watch 160 Prophecy Club recordings without interruption. The introductory rate, $20 recurring monthly subscription. A one-year subscription is a gift of $200. You get the first 3 days free just to check it out. WatchProphecyClub.com.